We found the 8,000 soldiers. We found the bronze chariots. But for 2,000 years, the world's most dangerous treasure has remained untouched. Deep beneath a man-made mountain in China lies an ocean, not of water, but of liquid mercury. 100 tons of pure, vaporizing poison designed to kill anyone who dares to enter. Today, we dive into the dark science of the first emperor's tomb. Why did he build it? And what happens to a human body if you breathe in the air of the forbidden chamber? The truth is more terrifying than the legends. From the surface, it looks like a peaceful mountain, a quiet monument to a forgotten age. But beneath the soil lies a nightmare that has remained undisturbed for over 2,000 years. We all know the 8,000 soldiers standing guard in the outer pits, but they are just a distraction. They were built to lead you away from the center, away from the place where the air itself turns to poison. In the 1980s, archaeologists made a terrifying discovery. Soil samples taken from the heart of the mound revealed mercury levels to 180 times higher than the surrounding earth. This isn't just a burial site. It's a chemical wasteland. Ancient texts describe a subterranean world where the great rivers of China were recreated in liquid metal, an ocean of mercury circulating forever. Today, we entered the forbidden chamber. We explore the dark science of the first emperor's tomb, the lethal traps that still wait in the dark, and the disturbing reason why this ocean of poison might be the only thing keeping us safe. Huang did the impossible. He ended centuries of war and united China. But as his power grew, so did a paralyzing, all-consuming fear. He had conquered the living, but he was terrified of the dead. The emperor believed that the spirits of the thousands he had slaughtered in battle were waiting for him on the other side. He didn't just need a grave, he needed a fortress, a command center, where he could rule the afterlife just as brutally as he ruled the earth. The scale of his paranoia was unprecedented. 700,000 workers were drafted into forced labor. Many worked until they dropped dead, their bodies tossed into the very foundations they were building. Every detail was a defense mechanism. The soldiers were his front line, but as the construction moved deeper toward the central chamber, the defenses became biological. He wanted a barrier that time could not rot, and thieves could not breathe. It was here that the emperor's obsession with the liquid of the stars began. He became convinced that mercury was the key to eternal life. Instead, it became the foundation of his eternal death. For centuries, historians dismissed the writings of Sima Qian, the grand historian of the Han dynasty. He claimed the tomb contained the 100 rivers, the Yangtze and the Yellow River, and the Great Sea, all created with mercury, used to create a flow mechanically. To most, it sounded like a fairy tale, until the drills went into the ground. In the late 20th century, researchers began testing the soil of the 160-foot-high mound. What they found silenced the skeptics. The mercury levels weren't just high, they were off the charts. While a normal plot of land might contain a few parts per billion, the center of the mound was screaming with toxicity. The distribution of the mercury was not random. It followed a pattern, a geometric layout that matched the ancient maps of the emperor's empire. Some engineers believe a primitive, perpetual motion machine was designed to keep the liquid metal flowing forever, ensuring the emperor's empire never stopped moving. But the presence of this much mercury creates a secondary, much more lethal problem, a problem that has kept every modern archaeologist from opening the final door. The air inside isn't just stale, it is a weaponized fog. If you managed to bypass the mercury rivers, you would still have to survive. The Zhu knew. Ancient records claim that craftsmen were ordered to fix crossbows and arrows, primed to shoot at anyone who enters the tomb's passages. But could a wooden weapon really work? After 2,000 years, the answer is chilling. When archaeologists excavated the outer pits, they found crossbow triggers so advanced they were centuries ahead of their time. Even more disturbing, the blades were coated in chromium oxide, a rust-proofing technique the West would not discover until the 20th century. These weapons were not just for show, they were built to stay lethal forever. But the crossbows are only the first layer. The true trap is invisible in the sealed environment of the tomb. The 100 tons of mercury have spent 2 millennia evaporating. This has created a mercury vapor atmosphere. To walk inside without a modern HAZMAT suit would not just be dangerous, it would be an instant death sentence. Mercury vapor attacks the central nervous system. It dissolves the lungs. It turns the brain against itself. The emperor didn't just want to keep his treasures. He wanted to ensure that the last thing his enemies ever felt was their own bodies failing them. Building a secret this large requires thousands of hands, but keeping a secret this large requires silence. As the final treasures were placed and the mercury began to flow, the emperor issued his final command. The artisans who knew the inner workings of the traps were never meant to leave. Records suggest that as the workers finished the middle gate, the outer gate was suddenly slammed shut. They were entombed in the very masterpiece they had spent their lives creating. Buried alive with the emperor, they became the final Terracotta Army, not made of clay, but of bone. Archaeologists have found these chaotic burial pits. Unlike the orderly soldiers, these skeletons show signs of struggle, fear, and a desperate attempt to find a way out that did not exist. The Mercury rivers were not just for show. They were the silent witnesses to a mass execution. The emperor's paradise was built on the lungs of the men he silenced forever. There is a tragic irony to this ocean of poison. Huang did not just use mercury to guard his death. He used it to try and achieve eternal life. As he grew older, his fear of the end became a madness. He became obsessed with the elixir of life, a potion that would grant him the immortality of the gods. His royal alchemists, fearing for their own lives if they failed, offered him immortality pills. These were small spheres of cinnabar and liquid mercury. They told him it was the essence of the stars. He swallowed them daily, unknowingly, turning his own blood into a toxic sludge. When the poison finally claimed him, he was 2,000 miles from home. To keep his death a secret, his advisors surrounded his corpse with crates of rotting fish, using one stench to hide the smell of a decomposing cod. The man who wanted to live forever died a prisoner of his own medicine, a king of mercury trapped in a silver sea. With all of our 21st century technology, the question remains, why haven't we opened the door? Why does the world's most famous tomb remain a forbidden zone? The reason is heartbreaking. When the first terracotta soldiers were unearthed, their vibrant purples and reds vanished in seconds, reacting to the oxygen in our air. Opening the main chamber today would be a cultural catastrophe. We would witness the destruction of a 2,000-year-old world before we could even photograph it, until we can guarantee the safety of what lies inside. The first emperor will keep his secrets. He remains guarded by his silver sea, a tyrant waiting in a tomb of poison. If you want to know what happened to the workers who never made it out, click the video on your screen now. And don't forget to subscribe. As we dive deeper into the dark side of history, some things are better left buried.